I'll tell you, the Thunder looked just marvelous last night, especially in his final few moments. It was really incredible for the city. And you can't pay for that kind of marketing for your city, as I'm always sharing with our Thunder partners. It's when you have an amazing NBA team like that, it's been such a great ride. And thanks to all of you in this audience who continue to support the Thunder, continue to support all of the very important progress that we've made here in OKC over the last 30 years in particular. But it is my privilege to kick us off today. So my name is Christy Gillenwater. I have the privilege of being a part of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber team, our dynamic team. And I am just really thrilled that you joined us today for this insightful, what I know will be insightful, conversation with Dennis Pruitt, our new Senior Vice President of Economic Development. Dennis has been on the job here now for about a couple months, and we brought him in from St. Louis, and just really thrilled already to be learning and growing from him. So we are going to, as you always know, it wouldn't be a great chamber event without thanking our amazing partners, our sponsors, and I'll tell you, Cox Communications, they're with us day in, day out, just tremendous partners for the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber. And one of their shining stars that I have enjoyed every moment around is Robbie Squires, the Director of Government Regulatory Affairs. And Robbie is going to share a few words. So Robbie.
I don't pay her, so I'm not sure why she was so kind. So very lucky. Well, good morning. I'm Robbie Squires. I'm Director of Government Affairs for Cox Communications, and it is my privilege to be here today as we talk about the growth of our Oklahoma City. All you have to do is look around to see that Oklahoma City is thriving thanks to our local leaders, innovators, and community advocates who continue to work together to achieve a common goal. Economic development is an exciting subject. It's about people, potential, and progress. Whether we're attracting new companies, supporting small business, or investing in workforce development, everything we do is about creating opportunities and improving the quality of life for all of us who call OKC home. We objectively have one of the best city chambers in the country, but even they will tell you they cannot do it all themselves. It takes all of us in this room, our entire business community, to step up and partner for growth. Cox Communications is part of the fabric of this city. We have 1,000 employees here, and when we talk about our nationwide fiber-powered internet with nearly $12 billion investment, that's billion feet, a lot of that work is happening right here in Oklahoma as we continue to focus on closing the digital divide. We serve the most critical state, city, and federal facilities, hospitals, universities, banks, and the largest commercial customers that drive our most advanced industries. And also, the ecosystem of small business, nonprofits, and residents that are the lifeblood of the city's success. We even provide services to our beloved Thunder. How about them Thunder? That's right. Cox stays in close partnership with the city and the Oklahoma City Chamber leaders, planners, and builders, and companies as the day-to-day business of infrastructure planning and construction gets done. And we always raise our hand to be a partner in imagining the art of possible for Oklahoma City's future and then help make it happen. Thank you again for being here for today's discussion. Enjoy lunch and thunder up.
All right, well, as you can see, Robbie and I know her counterparts at Cox are true stewards of our brand at OKC and key partners and energetic partners of that too. So thank you, Robbie. Also would like to thank and recognize our silver sponsor, ABG Black. Thank you very much. And our invitation sponsor, Oklahoma Natural Gas. Thank you. And again, thank you, each and every one of you, for partnering in this work. Like Robbie shared, we at the Chamber cannot fulfill our mission without a plethora of partners and thousands of people in our community, so thank you. So, as I was contemplating on today and our conversation, it's really interesting when you think about the role of economic development, just the evolution of economic development, I think, over the past 30 years. And Dennis and I have both been in the industry about that long. And it's really incredible to see the continued evolution and continued economic growth right here in Oklahoma City. And at the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber, for a long time, we've been tremendous stewards of economic development. I think about my predecessor, Roy Williams. I think about the leaders before him. It's really incredible when you look at the 135-year history plus, 135-year plus history of our entity. But again, it always resonated with the business community, really collaborating within and from our footprint and our body of work. But our economic development team, that part of our team, works to attract new businesses, yes, but we also are extremely focused and prioritized on helping our existing companies grow, thrive, and prosper. And we develop, as you can imagine, target sectors for growth, especially those that we think really show promise for the future. And that is directly tied to the businesses in this room, to the businesses in our community, in terms of the sectors where we see a lot of energy and we really have leaders that lean in and want to see more like them here in the community. So today, we'll be exploring how economic development team functions, how that piece of our work really functions, and exploring Oklahoma City's competitive position in our changing landscape, geopolitically, right, internationally, our global landscape, and the various factors that influence our region's growth opportunities. So joining me, as I mentioned earlier, is Dennis Pruitt, who, again, 2 months ago, joined our team as our Senior Vice President of Economic Development. And he brings more than 30 years of experience in economic development, most recently serving as the Vice President of Development for Missouri Partnership. Dennis is a recognized leader in economic development who will be leading our recruitment, like I said, also our expansion efforts, our economic research team as well, our industry sector development, and we have several sectors, right, that we're very focused in on, and you'll hear more from Dennis on that, as well as our destination retail initiatives. He will also lead the Greater Oklahoma City Partnership, our 10-county regional economic development alliance. So please take a minute to, as you all know, you have the QR code in front of you. You can learn a little bit more about today's program. But at this time, we'll give you a few moments to talk amongst yourselves, enjoy your lunch table discussion, and then we'll reconvene here in a few moments for the program. All right, thank you. All right, everyone, well, I hope you enjoyed my favorite salad in town. I'll tell you, I always love when we have events here. A lot of technology going on there. And that you enjoyed this beautiful view. And one of the things about being in the economic development profession is we always love when we can be elevated and see our beautiful city of Oklahoma City. We see dirt moving and we see cranes. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. But again, excited to have Dennis. So everyone, please welcome and meet Dennis. Just extremely excited again to have Dennis on this team. He has a phenomenal team he works with, and before we hired him, I had a chance to do a deeper dive working alongside them, and it's really an incredible team. But I'm also extremely grateful that Dennis is here, so I can get back to other things as well. But I'll tell you, like I mentioned in the intro, Dennis has a phenomenal background in economic development in Missouri, Kansas, 30 years of experience. He also has been very involved in the IEDC, the International Economic Development Council, and he chaired the international committee. So he has a wide breadth of experience. I think as many of you have already spent time with him, you've heard him speak in some situations, some of you have had the privilege to have some one-on-one time. Hopefully you're finding him very approachable, very knowledgeable, and enthusiastic about what's happening right here in Oklahoma City. So Dennis, let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you.
Absolutely, okay. So 2 months on the job. What are some of your initial observations, and what has surprised you or impressed you?
Well, can I go first with some cheap applause? Go Thunder. We did not have a basketball team in Missouri, so I clearly cheer for the Thunder. It's exciting to be here. It's a great season. I hope we go all the way. I think, first of all, I want to start off by saying, when I took the job, I got a lot of calls from friends across the country to get on the government because it's a tight family. And people from various states called me and said, look, Dennis, you got the best job. Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce has a great reputation. Oklahoma City is moving in the right direction. Congratulations on making a great career move. I really am at peace with my decision. It's almost 2 months. It's been a wonderful transition. Everyone has been so welcoming. I would say that from a surprise, this is like the biggest small town I've ever lived in. Either everybody's married to somebody, or divorced with somebody, or went to school with somebody. I got the fire chief. He's all went to high school with Eric Long. I was in D.C. this week, and I had a flight last night, and I was telling Mike Jackson this morning, I said, oh yeah, I had the greatest guy, so nice. His name is Jeff Starling, and he goes, Dennis, you know, he's the son-in-law of Lori Nichols, and I didn't know about him, I'm not surprised. So I think you just have to be nice everywhere you go, because somebody's first cousin, second cousin, neighbor, high school classmates. It's really a big, small town with 1 degree of separation here in this city rather than 6 degrees. What I'm not surprised about is the team has a great reputation. I want to call out my colleagues who are sitting right here in the front row, and they've been amazing, super friendly, super welcoming, lots of patience with me as I stumble through my first 6 weeks on the job. But they have been amazing, and I really want to thank you sincerely for the welcome you've given me. It's a pleasure and honor to work with all of you. We had a site visit this morning that we were working with the team. We have today. There's no shortage of activity, and that's been a real blessing for me as you move from someplace you've been for 17 years in a new role. You don't want to just stick the boss going underneath you. You want to get right in there in the action, and they throw me right into the front lines, which I really appreciate. But everybody has a great camaraderie. We're on good text. I think I probably had 16 this morning from the team on last night's Thunder game. And we ran the marathon together. So it's just it's a blessing to get this organization.
Well,
Sure, Mike.
there we go, we're good. It's just your energy that's invigorating, and it's always exciting, I think, for people to hear from, the outside perspective, someone coming in and, choosing to be here with intentionality, and what some of those early observations are. So thank you. Yes.
I forgot one point. Everyone's so friendly. I've been, I closed on my house today, and I've been in this urban. So I've been in this urban right there for almost 2 months, and you've been in a hotel too long. When I told the valet guy when I was walking out, because they say, have a good day, Dennis, every day, and I said, well, today's my last day, and the valet, Alex gave me a hug. So, and I don't even park my car there. Okay, I know all the staff at Romesta, I know about their dreams, or this young lady there studying automotive mechanics. It's just they're so nice, and I'll miss them. It's been fun. Yeah.
Yes, well, a great way to onboard, really kind of embrace downtown and be a part of the ecosystem. So he's walked a lot of miles in the downtown too and observed, which has been great. All right, so moving on, next question. Could you help our audience understand Oklahoma City's unique economic development structure, particularly how the chamber contracts with both the city and the county? And unlike the separate departments found in many other cities, right, where you have, you read a lot of lack of, I would say, alignment often we find in other cities. But how this integrated approach compares with other regions or other communities you work in?
Sure. There are a lot of different models for economic development. You can have a private sector approach, you can have a public sector focus, which would be your city or your county, or you have a public-private model, which I came from in Missouri. And then you can also have economic development at the local level, county level, regional level, or the state level. And what makes our model here in Oklahoma City unique is that while we're working at the regional level, that is typically housed in the Regional Economic Development Association. Like in Kansas City, they have the Kansas City Area Development Council, and the chamber is a small part of that economic development regional organization. Here, it's the opposite. We are the regional effort, and I would hasten to add, though, that while we are the point, we can't do our job alone. And I'm looking at my good friend Keith Coolman from the Alliance. Keith, thank you for the welcome that you extended to me. You've driven me around in different sites. I appreciate that. We do a lot of work with Kenny and Keith, and we really love their team. The city is a phenomenal partner. The county is a phenomenal partner. And then we have the 10-county region. So we're all working together in the same direction. And so I don't want to imply that we're dominating, but we're leading and coordinating. And I think, every project in economic development requires so much support. I don't know if OG&E is here, but I want to call them out for their leadership. And everybody has been extremely helpful. Our engineering firms, and Olson's here, they helped us with a major site. So it's been a great team effort, and that's what we really need, and we're blessed to have that. You don't know how much conflict exists in other communities and regions, and we're really fortunate that we're all pulling together.
It's a great question.
Yes, yes. And then unique for me also would be the portfolio of responsibilities where we've been doing business attraction, and we have business retention, but we have film, we have destination retail. And those are unique for me, so it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I think that's a great point. I mean, some of our, again, the verticals where we focus. And every market's different, right? Like we talked about earlier, you really lean into what your strengths are. You look at the data, you study where industries are going, you look at the diversification that you want in your economy, and you really laser in on those. And so that's exciting.
Yeah, and you've been here 2 years, 3 years.
2 years
and
5 months.
I mean, you've been working with the different cooperative events, so you probably have a much better appreciation than I do on that.
Well, that's a good point, Dennis. It's interesting when I think about the collaboration, to Dennis's point, I mean, that is our secret sauce here. And it's interesting because, as I've been present for several of our site visits, not all of them, but the team often calls me in when it's a more significant size project, if you will. And you can tell that our visitors sense the collaboration here. They feel it. And it's interesting, and they will state that, oh my goodness, we feel the difference. And I think about all the time we spend with Keith and Kenny and team. I think about Jim and just other partners in the region with their economic development organizations, the counties, the cities. And as we grow as a region, there will continue to be strains, right, and opportunities. And how do we balance that as we move forward? And the role that we play, and to Dennis's point, kind of that facilitator, convener role, and trying to align everyone and lead, it's really important. But it's so unique being on a site visit where we have utility partners come in, or if it's a particular industry and we bring about a business leader to articulate their story. Sometimes it's a key. Kelly's here, who's leading our workforce, the State Workforce Commission now, talking, I think about some of the businesses who come in and talk about their workforce engagement strategy and what that was like to hire people in our market. And just everyone is always willing to come to the table. And, I think about the 20-ish years that we've had the Alliance, as we think about sites, for example, that site piece, and as Penny will often say, we're the ones we're out fishing, we catch the fish, and they make them for us. They partner with the city in particular and facilitate a lot of city programs that are, incentives and or site preparation or site accumulation, right? It's sometimes as simple as going out and, not simple. This is not simple work, are you kidding? But going out and acquiring land, right? Options on land. I mean, that's a lot of work. We don't do that. We partner with them to execute on that. Together, we identify sites and we say, okay, this site is prime for this type of job or industry. This site has other opportunities. And again, but the point is going back to the collaboration. And as to your question, it's been really phenomenal. So next question for you. With Oklahoma City facing multiple growth opportunities across industries, what do you see as our key competitive advantage right now and how we should approach and balance these different stages of industry development?
We have a lot of activity going on, and we have 108 projects in the pipeline right now, and 62 of those are manufacturing related. And what companies want, everybody thinks that economic development is just about incentives, but no, they really want to go to a strong economy where there's movement, progress, growth. I think Robbie's point about people, progress, and potential. Yeah, got it, okay. Yeah, that is exactly, you should have been up here listening to me. I think it's a great observation. I like those three, but we have such a strong industrial base. We have a strong aerospace sector. We have a very strong bioscience sector. And those three, and then the absolute wonderful industrial parks, the land, the electricity, all those are critically important. And so that's why we have so many manufacturing jobs. And we have 14 aerospace projects and 7 shared services and 7 data centers. So we have a lot of activity going on. But all is testament to the fact that we have a strong basic economy. We want to continue to really hone in on that and focus on developing that. From an infrastructure perspective, one of the things that really surprised me coming from adjacent to the Mississippi River to the south or southern west, I was anticipating maybe water being an issue, but surprisingly, Oklahoma City has a ton of water, which was a really, somebody had a lot of foresight 50 years ago to plan all these lakes and water supply. And so that's a wonderful asset that a lot of communities like Phoenix is going to bump up against and others in the Southwest. So we should be really thankful for having that asset. The rail, we have 2 Class 1 railroads, the NSF and UP, which are critical. We have wonderful interstate connection that will take us across the country. And then the land and then the electricity. And so those are the 2 I really want to highlight, the 3. Land, electricity, and water are really going to drive industrial development in the next. They already are, I shouldn't say going to. They are driving it, and that gives us an advantage over our friends in the Southeast. Growing population. We've added about 70,000 people to Oklahoma City since 2020. That's amazing growth, and companies are drawn to regions that are growing. Something is going well here, and they want to be part of that energy. And so we're fortunate to have this growth, and I've come from negative growth areas. It's difficult, and so you shouldn't take this for granted. I know you're not. We're a right to work state, and that's really important too. And I'd like to share just some feedback that we've received from site selection consultants. These are the people that help advise companies, and they speak very highly of Oklahoma City. And they said, Vince, you got to remember the MAPS program. They always go back to that, and how Oklahoma City had the foresight to invest in itself. And why would a company want to make a huge capital investment in a community that doesn't invest in itself? That sends a very powerful message that shouldn't be minimized. We are really trying to build up our city and making that, we're taking those steps to do the public investment. Those, the GeoBond, all those are really important to continue to build the momentum for the city and the region. And it tells a story that we care. We were, quality of life, quality of place is a big theme in economic development. But we were out there years ago, decades ago, leading this effort. They talk about the impressive electricity that we have. They talk about the growing biosector. So that's from the consultant's perspective. From a company's perspective, this is just on 2 weeks ago, we had a big site visit, and the company was impressed. They said, look, we can tell that you cooperate with each other, that you get along, that you are solution focused, and we really appreciate that. And so those are, we're getting feedback from the outside that we're doing the right thing. We need to always continue to do better. We can't be complacent. We have to keep fighting forward on important issues. We're never going to arrive as a city or a region, but how can we continue to improve and make efforts? And then I want to close on this competitive position with our competitors. The Southeast, I'm talking about Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, they have seen a huge, they've been very successful over the past decade, no doubt about that, but they're constrained on sites and they're really hitting the wall on power, electricity. So that gives us an advantage. I think about our friends in Texas. I mean, there's just a lot of congestion. The operating costs are going up. This is feedback from consultants again. Look, you guys are positioned very well because Texas has the growth, but they can't control it. They can't handle some of the new companies that are coming in. So I think we're just going to benefit from that close proximity. And then I would say that Mexico is actually a good opportunity for us as well as we see this tariff. We might get into this later, but on the tariff side, and you have a lot of European companies that invested in Mexico to get next to the United States. I think they're going to cross that threshold into our country, and Oklahoma is a better place than Texas because we're farther into the lower 48, and that gives us access to more markets. So we're going to look at Mexico as a strategy.
Thank you for that, Dennis. That's interesting. To your point, our position in the country and how key that is. And it's interesting. You talked about water, and it's really fascinating to think Stanley Draper, the chamber. I mean, that again, that was business leaders under the purview of our organization that said we are setting us up for success in decades into the future, and they did just that. And your point about maps, and I think about Mayor Nord working alongside with the chamber, us running the campaign. Every single one of those campaigns, but it was each one of you in this room. So many of you funded those campaigns. You walked alongside us. You brought voters in. I mean, it is such a unique story. And one of the things that I loved about, the time I was here, well before, it's going back even 10 years ago, when I was here for a convention and talking to residents, you talk to guests in Belmont at the hotel, and there was this pride in maps that we were doing this. We invested in ourselves. Show me another community in the U.S. like that. It does not exist. So it's a muscle that this entity, those of you in this room, have developed over 30 years. And now we are benefiting from the fruits of your labor, and we have, right? But it is at a high point right now because, again, to Dennis's point, this outside influences, site selectors, companies, they feel it when they come here. And to Dennis's point, economic development, again, 30 years ago it was about sites and incentives. It shifted. I mean, yes, those sites are still critically important. You heard Dennis talk about water and other infrastructure, but quality of life. I mean, you didn't hear about that 30 years ago. That really wasn't much of a discussion in our industry. Today, driving factor. And again, to your point, OKC was ahead of the curve. It's really remarkable. It's really remarkable. So we have a great product of people to sell, for sure. So moving on to confidentiality. I know, confidentiality, I feel like every week I'm signing a non-disclosure agreement, right? It's a delicate balance because you want, investors and members to know, hey, we're working on projects, but there's a level of what we can and can't say. So you might walk us through a little bit about how do you balance the confidentiality component with transparency and engagement.
Yeah, I've seen a huge uptick in the request for NDAs. Let's step back on this a little bit. It's to our advantage to keep our mouths shut on projects. We don't want our competing states to know about a project that we are pursuing. So there's no advantage for us to opening our mouth and broadcasting, oh, we're working with this company from Japan. Have you heard about them? That would be really, really stupid. So confidentiality is important, and it's just expected. I know all of you work in industries as well where you have attorney-client privilege, you have doctors, I mean everybody deals with confidentiality, so it's not anything new. But it's something that we in economic development are expected to handle. I've seen NDAs abused, no names, but previous life, I knew a colleague or knew a practitioner who's like, everything was NDA. And so he almost like, it was just a stroke or ego, and it was like, what'd you have for lunch? I can't tell you, I'm under an NDA. You know, it's almost that extreme with her. And then I've also seen economic development organizations use it as a cloak for lack of activity or lack of success. And so, they go to the board and say, I'd love to tell you about this great project I'm working, but I can't because I'm under NDA. So I've seen it abused that way, but it does protect us. The balance would be, where I see it at Oklahoma City Chamber specifically is we have such a powerful executive committee, we have a powerful board, and they have valuable insight that we don't have about the industry. And they have contacts that we don't have, so how can we work with them? So I think if we could talk in generalities and balance that while protecting the spirit of the law, of the NDA, that would be the key. But we would be more successful if we're able to leverage the great intelligence and contacts of our executive committee and board.
That's a great point. And again, the confidentiality piece, it's really growing in complexity, as you can imagine, especially as we have so many more looks and elevated and complex projects. I mean, just again, as you all work so hard to elevate OKC, I mean, no longer are we competing against the Omahas and the Albuquerques, right? It's the Nationals, it's the Columbus, Ohio's, it's the Indianapolis, and the Denvers, even the Austins. I mean, they compete at a different level. And so, and again, that means more complex projects. And we all have to step up our game in that. So that's exciting as well. So you might mention, how are other mid-sized cities adapting their economic development strategies in response to global trends, geopolitical landscape, et cetera, that we're seeing? And how have you seen innovative approaches taken that you think we should be inspired by?
Every year we go through this cycle of let's wait and see till this election's over, let's wait for this fact, or let's wait for this employment report to come out. There's always been some hesitancy on the part of companies to say, let's make this investment. It seems extremely intense right now with the tariff policies and the change, and it's too early to tell when that's going to end up. But over the past 2 decades, it's always had there have always been question marks on the economy. There's always been question marks on geopolitical situations. What will the war in the Mideast do to us and our supply chain? So it's nothing new. It just seems a little higher intensity right now in the past few months. But what I think we should do is just focus on what we can control. And it's not my original statement, but prepared communities win. Let me say it again. Prepared communities win. And so let's get our fundamentals down. Let's get our act together so we're ready to respond. So what would a prepared community look like? One, again, back to your surprise question. I'm surprised at the level of planning that's taking place in Oklahoma City. We have the EY plan for economic development. We have Visit OKC that's doing a strategic plan that just released it. The downtown is putting together a downtown improvement plan through the city. We're working internally on a site preparation plan that would include retail, industrial, and entertainment sites that we're pre-identifying, and also some redevelopment corridors that we want to focus on. So how do we get out there? How do we think about these things in advance so we're prepared? We're also doing workforce initiatives. I want to call out, I don't know, is Lee here? Lee Copeland is here? No. Lee has this great program that's coming up June 10th, Intern OKC. I'll write that down. Intern OKC, June 10th. We would love for you to send your employees here. It's a great program to develop internships because it's all about workforce development, making sure you have the right careers, you got to have the people. You can have a site. Montana has a lot of great land, but they don't have a lot of people. So we've got a lot of great land, we've got a lot of great people. How can we continue to develop that product? So send your people to Intern OKC, June 10th. It's right across the street at the Skirvin, my home. We're also very cognizant of our existing industry. And Eric Williams is doing a great job for us. He's out there every day talking to our existing companies, taking the temperature, finding out what those issues are, sharing that intelligence with us. Because, business attraction is all the press, but we need to really show appreciation to our existing companies. I feel really strongly about that because we need to show the love to who we have. These people have made the investment. They're creating the jobs day daily, but they don't get the press. And our team, and this is my commitment to Oklahoma City, that we will honor those people that have made that investment, that have been here year after year, and have carried the brunt of what they've been doing. It's so important. We can never minimize that, and we won't. We support you. We really appreciate the investment that you made in our community. You are creating jobs, and that helps us on the attraction side, because when we bring in a good big client, they want to have employee interviews with people. They want to see what's it really like to do business in Oklahoma City. And if we don't have that good connection, that strong relationship with our existing companies, we're not doing our job as a chamber. And fortunately, we've got people like Eric out there leading that for us every day. So I think one, focus on the fundamentals. There are some really good tools that we have. I look at my friend Jim over there. He's got one of the best industrial parks in Oklahoma, and he's got the foreign trade zone. And so as you look at how do you protect yourself from tariffs, foreign trade zones seem to be one possible answer there. We also need to continue to strengthen our public-private partnerships. We're seeing inflation rates. We're all seeing interest rates high, rising construction costs. We need to work collaboratively and creatively with our existing developers to help form these public-private partnerships, and we've seen that in other communities. We just came back from a big international event. We'll get to that, but there's this perception that the United States is not open for business. We saw that under the Biden administration with the Japanese investment in the steel company that was shut down. We've seen it with this administration. There's just a lot of rhetoric out there, and this is not a political statement, but every administration has some snafu when it comes to international economic policy. We need to really stress that Oklahoma, we call this a subnational, the reality of subnational relationships, not the national level. When we talk to companies from Europe or from Asia, they're used to dealing with their federal level. It's really driving economic development. In the United States, though, it's the local level, it's the states. And so we need to do a really strong job. Our marketing team, Cynthia's here. We're working on getting that message out that, look, we're sane, we're stable, we're predictable, we are affordable, we have the right product, we will work with you no matter what the federal level's doing. So it's just a matter of getting that message out that Oklahoma is a sane state that knows what it's doing and welcomes international investment. And we have the important tools that we need. I would say that the Quality Jobs Incentive Leverage Act, we need to get that passed. How are we going to recruit industries? So we've got a great legislature, we've got a great governor doing some big business ideas. Let's get this across the finish line so we can get some more project wins. And I just also conclude with, we got to be active. No matter what the political situation is, no matter what's going on in this world, we have to be active as an organization, being out there on the front lines. We just got back from Select USA. We're going to ICSC this coming weekend. We've got BIO coming up. We've got the Paris Air Show. So we are being aggressive. We have to control what we can control. But being visible on the world stage and domestic stage, promoting Oklahoma is critical for our success no matter what's going on in the rest of the world.
So that's a great point. Let's lean into that a little further. But your point about certainty, you're right. And we hear that from all of you in this room, that the more certainty, again, the more businesses feel comfortable making decisions. And to your point about getting out there, and of course we were with the governor on his trade mission to Asia in December, and the state leads on a number of these things, and we engage and we're present. And one of the things, when we went through the interviewing process, and by the way, I have to tell you, we had phenomenal candidates from throughout the country. And I'll tell you, and Dennis obviously rose to the top with intentionality, because I knew where we needed to go with this role. And one of the things I really liked about Dennis was the background he had in foreign direct investment. Yes, his focus on existing business expansion, but also particularly around foreign direct investment and international relations, et cetera. So you might lean into that a little bit further. You touched on it a bit, but to you, what are some of those tactical things? What are the opportunities we have in the FDI space?
Yeah, so I was actually fortunate. I have a very unique background. I grew up in Iowa. I was there through 8th grade, small town, 350 people in rural Iowa. And then my father's a civil engineer, he's retired, but he had great opportunities to work in Malaysia and Thailand. So when I was in high school, I lived in Malaysia for a year, and it was great exposure. We went to international school. I had friends from all over the world. So, when you're 14 years old and you're on that, it makes a big difference. It's that critical formative years of high school. And then so that was my freshman year. My junior year, we were in Thailand. I really got that bug, and then I studied French and history at university, and then I went to France for a year. My wife is from Thailand. So I do, for me, international is where I feel very comfortable on that stage. And so that's been a lot of fun for me. And that's why it's natural for me to really focus on foreign direct investment. We just got back from Select USA, which was 5,000 international visitors from 95 different countries. And the whole purpose of that trade show is to attract investment into the United States. I go to a lot of trade shows, or I did in my last job, probably about 15 a year. And you go to a trade show, I don't know, maybe does anyone else like trade shows? I like trade shows, but anyway, I go there and I walk up and down these aisles, and the response is, well, look, I need to go with my customers. Let's talk after the show. Select USA is really different because they're coming to us. And I feel like, oh wow, it's nice to have a different approach here where they want to talk to me instead of me wanting to talk to them. And I just want to highlight Governor Stitt. He did a great job. He was there at Select USA. Not every governor goes. When I was in Missouri, the Missouri governor never went. But here we are on the international stage, and Governor Stitt sent a really strong message that Oklahoma City is open for international investment. That sets a really important tone. And I really support his idea of bringing the world to Oklahoma and Oklahoma to the world, because we need this international investment in our state. So hats off to him for his leadership on that issue. But for me, how will we do that? And what we've done in the past, what I've done in the past in my last job is making sure that we raise that awareness with our international dignitaries and diplomats that are in the United States, whether that's in Chicago or whether for here now in Oklahoma City, it's going to be Houston primarily, maybe Dallas, even here in Oklahoma City, we have some great international representation. And then in Washington, D.C., like when we do our fly-in, let's go meet with these ambassadors like we did on last trip. We had a great meeting with Ambassador of Mexico and these economic ministers. So starting at that, raising the profile of Oklahoma City to the international diplomats is a great step. Second, we need to really engage with the international associations. And I'm talking about, so when at Select USA, I met with Business France. I met with the Israel Technology Authority. I met with the Confederation of Indian Industries. And so these are the people that are advising their companies of wanting to go abroad into the United States. So those are great people for us to meet. And then the international finance people, the Japan Bank for International Cooperation, the India Export-Import Bank. Those are all critical people. There are lots of organizations like that. So how can we get into them and talk to them about why Oklahoma City is welcoming of international investment? We also need to continue to cultivate our relationships with our site selection consultants. They're doing more and more work internationally. There are also international attorneys that do this work. And I had two friends in Atlanta that I met with while I was at Select USA and reminded them of my new job and how we really welcome German, Swiss, Austrian investment into Oklahoma City. And then finally, just getting direct interaction with international companies, and that's what we did at Select USA. We're going to do at Bio, we're going to do at the Paris Air Show. Nothing trumps meeting with face-to-face with companies, and that's what we're going to really try to do.
Thank you for that. Obviously, focused strategy there, and one that we're going to be very intentional about. I think it's interesting when we think about your point about the governor and our role in the state. And Dave always loved. Eric's always great about equipping us with key data points. The fact that our 10-county region is 41%, or actually it's in the 7-county. 7-county MSA. 7-county MSA is 41% of the state's GDP. So we feel the weight, we feel the weight on that every day, and combined with Tulsa, we're 68% of the state's GDP. So when you think about the role of the recruitment process, the retention process of our existing companies. We take that very seriously. So leading into that a little further, by the way, any of you thinking about growing, needing help growing, please do reach out to Dennis and team. I mean, that is what we are here for, to talk through the supports, etc., that we can offer right here in the region. But also, if they're suppliers, if they're vendors, you know, your best friend from college who has an amazing company in California, right? Whatever it might be, you know, we often find success through our existing relationships here in the market. And same thing with the visitor economy. If you're on a national board or association, let our visit team know, you know, how can we partner with you to bring that experience? Because what we find is often tourists, those associated, you know, entities, that's how we get in the door, right? And we build a relationship and they see what we're made of here in Oklahoma City. So real quick, and then we want to get to your questions, so maybe just in a quick minute or two, Dennis, given the light, you know, given current uncertainties as we talked about,